So, welcome to one of the first live sessions of 20 Feet with Joe Hackman. Hello, Joe. Can you hear me, Joe?
The stream's a little choppy. Hopefully you can hear me better than I can hear you.
Uh,
We were fine during the sound check, and of course now as we go live,
yeah,
it's
okay.
how's it on your end?
It's perfect. So, let's just try that. I just closed some windows and let's see how that works out. Um,
That helped.
okay, so thanks for taking the time, Joe, and talking about 20 feet with me. I'm very excited because you were one of the early adopters, the early users of 20 feet, and I'm very excited to hear what you have to say about 20 feet. So uh, I hope you're still using the software. Are you?
Absolutely. I actually, it's really kind of interesting that over time it's become a bit more valuable of a tool for me because when I become less active, when I get more busy professionally, 20 feet is one of the things that it only sends me activity that's out of the norm, and that I find very helpful. So if I'm really dropping the ball and losing, Twitter followers or my YouTube channel is not getting as many views, it's kind of a nice reminder when the activity's out of the norm. Or if there's a spike, I want to see what is it?
Yeah.
What is it that's getting the additional activity? And it kind of keeps me in check.
Okay, so what I understand is that 20 feet is something like a reminder in daily business for you. It helps you to keep track on if something noteworthy happens.
Yeah, it's more it keeps me abreast of the activity that's out of the norm.
Mm.
That's where I find the value, and that's why I'm actually a paid subscriber. When you adopt the paywall for adding additional services, I don't know, I signed up right away because the fee was pretty minimal, but to be able to be reminded was really a huge thing for me.
Okay, so which services did you actually subscribe to, and which didn't you?
So I'm currently subscribed for Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I think at one time I was playing around with some of the other stuff, but the main ones that I use are really for my business's Facebook page. I use those alerts very extensively for my YouTube account and for my Twitter account. Those are really kind of the main things for me.
Okay. Okay, so
And
what is from what you said, I understand that the email is the most important tool, or is it something else that you like most about 20 feet?
I think the most important aspect of it is definitely the reminders for things that are out of the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it is one of my most valuable social analytics or monitoring, if you will, applications for that reason. I mean, I use other things to get alerts and notifications, but as far as a gauge of activity, I'm more concerned with what's out of the norm. And I think that's really the brilliant. I think that's the most important feature you guys integrated was sort of saving me the time of having to go and check the tool every day. That's not helpful to me. So
Do you use the web interface at all? So do you log into 20 feet and see the charts and these things, or don't you do that at all?
on occasion I do, but for the most part, because I have anymore so limited amount of time, I find that leveraging the alerts just to know that the activity changes is really the part. That's the part I wouldn't want to give up. If I have everything else, it's great to be able to look at it and see it over time and see the trends and things like that. The graphs are great to occasionally kind of look through and gauge what I've been doing and see a historical. I do that with YouTube with Insights, and I'll also go into 20 feet on occasion and look at that stuff. But as far as my day-to-day use, then that's the power feature. That's where the money. That's what makes it worth money to me.
Okay, cool. So, are your 20 feet usage, does it involve clients at all? Do you share information with clients, or do you use it to track client work, or is it just for Joe's Gone Social and your own activities?
Yeah, currently it's my own activities, but all the tools that I use, I basically use them with clients in mind. So if I have a client that is interested in doing, gauging their
now we have.
performance, I'm not sure. I've recommended the product to a lot of people. I don't know how many of them have actually used it. So.
Oh, actually, that's a question also.
I'm
one question that I had is, did you recommend the tool to others, and what did they say? So you did, and they didn't answer?
Well, actually, I did recommend it, and I recommended it for one of the leadership programs had a day that was sort of social media, new media related, and they added 20 feet to one of the analytics aspects of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I know at least a group of folks here in the area had taken a look at that. So, and I'm trying to think of other feedback that I've gotten about 20 feet. I've gotten some feedback on my blog. I've gotten feedback on Twitter. I know people that have used the product as a result, but I wouldn't say that I wouldn't refer to myself as a hugely influential person. I think I'm just incrementally influential.
Okay. So you said you did buy credits and use them. Thank you for that. I don't have to ask this question again. If you could wish for other services to be integrated, at the moment 20 feet is tracking Twitter data, Facebook profiles, Facebook pages, apps, and groups. We're tracking YouTube variables, Bitly clicks, and all the stuff about Bitly and MySpace, and Google Analytics. So what else would you want to be integrated into 20 feet in social media or apart from social media?
Well, that's a great question, and I think, my main outpost anymore, it really kind of covers most of my bases. The fact that it can do the Google Analytics, which honestly, this is a good reminder for me. I have to revisit the analytics and make sure that I'm.
That's an old problem. You have this cool tool that is provided by Google, and it has so powerful features, and you just don't look at them. And actually, in my personal opinion, that's a cool thing about 20 feet. It just tells me, look, I'm your mind and telling you should be looking at me again because I have some valuable information for you. And I say, oh yes, I know I should be looking at you every day, but I don't do so. I promise I'm going to come over again. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a great reminder for me. I really need to make sure that I have my analytics account set up because I'm pretty sure that the activity has been out of the norm, especially given that I've been really not less than proactive about updating my blog recently. I can't imagine my traffic is the same as it is when I'm producing content. So, that would be a good reminder to me. So that'll be my takeaway. That'll be my action item from the call.
Okay.
To get my Google Analytics set up.
Let me. So basically, what I understand is that you are pretty contented with the services that we have connected already, and actually, something about what we plan is to 20 feet is all about what we call ego tracking, like everything around you when other tools are looking at the blogosphere or at the groundswell. What is Twitter telling about my brand, or what do people say on Facebook about me? That's not what 20 feet does. 20 feet is actually like around your own accounts, like your own activity that you do. And what I would like you to think of is if you go like 10 feet higher, it maybe social media, maybe only one aspect of what you're doing daily. There are other things that you do apart from social media that we also would call ego tracking, and that we want to offer as a service, and would like you to say something about what you think about that. Like, let's say everything that has to do about health, like cigarette consumptions per day. People might count calories, their calorie consumption. They might count their coffee cups that they consume a day. They might count exercises, sport exercises they do per week, yoga sessions, meditations, and so on. We have a list of a lot of things that people tend to track in Excel spreadsheets or manually somehow, just to make sure that they can see if they do that regularly. And we're imagining 20 feet to help with manual tracking of things that you want to do more or do less, and give you charts and telling you when you are out of the norm, when you are good or bad. And
Right.
actually, I hope I could convey the idea. And we're thinking of a kind of smartphone application, iPhone app or Android application that will help you to populate this data and will be transferred to 20 feet and analyzed there with the same analytics power that we have for Twitter, Facebook, and all the other stuff. And so if you could decide, would you like more ego tracking apart from social media, like manual tracking of cigarette consumption, health, sports, and money, and all these things, manual tracking? Or would you rather have more in-depth analytics about what you're doing on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and so on? What would you prefer?
For me personally, I find the analytics to be adequate. So the way that I'm using the tool, it's not really critical to provide additional analytics. I have to say that I think the idea of tracking other things is a fascinating one. You could almost do that with the Twitter appy and a hashtag. You could sort of set up your own parameters and sort of tweet something out, and then it kind of makes it a public thing too. So if you're trying to work out more, then you could say, hey, I just worked out for 15 minutes. I just did 15 minutes of, hashtag cardio. Something like that would actually, so you could sort of automate it.
Yeah, it's kind of a combination what you are explaining, yeah.
It could get a little annoying, though, to the people following you if you track a lot of stuff. It could be the TMI thing. It's, we don't really care if you worked out for 15 minutes, Joe. Please spare us the tweets. But I guess you could do it by mentioning a particular Twitter account so that it wouldn't necessarily show up in every possible stream. But
Yeah, okay. Also a good idea in addition. So what I get is you basically like that, and you like that better than enhancing social media things. Okay, so if there's anybody out there who has not used 20 feet at all, what would you recommend, and how would you describe the service in only a couple of sentences?
If you want an easy way to know that if your activity is maintaining, degrading, or improving, 20 feet I think is the best way to know.
How long does it take to set up 20 feet, in your opinion?
It's super, super simple. It's very, very easy to set up. You guys leverage all the appies that are already in place. It's pretty standard if people are used to authorizing apps and just doing simple things with social media and Web 2.0 sites. It'll be very, very straightforward for them.
Okay, so actually I'm through with all the questions that I have. Any question that you have for 20Feet or a wish?
Yeah, so when did the idea of tracking all these other activities come into play? Was that a scale issue? Where did that come into play?
Okay, actually, about scaling issues, we had severe scaling issues in the recent days, and there were like people here just jumping around to make sure that just the things that we offered for months can be offered ongoing, because we had a at least for our service huge growth, and so scaling is still an issue for us, and the next sprints that we are doing are solely about making sure that we can scale better and that the service remains stable. We had a couple of days in the recent weeks when we just didn't deliver any value, so you just have a gap in your tracking, and it's just like something that is a basic feature of 20Feet to have a value every day. It's no problem if you don't, but it's just our service. So that was annoying, at least for me. And the idea about manual tracking came when we thought, oh, 20Feet is cool, and we get tremendously good feedback from social media geeks, I would say. People who are really into Twitter, really into Facebook. They love our tool. Big brands sign up and use it. And actually, we designed the software to meet a mass usage goal. Like we wanted to have a lot of users use it. And we were thinking about how can we make sure that 20Feet can be used by even more people than we already have. And then we thought, okay, so not everybody's on Twitter, at least in Germany that's the case. And if you're honest, even in America, not everybody's on Facebook. So what can we do to make sure that we reach the other guys also? And then we're thinking about, okay, so we are talking about ego tracking, what do you do? Bad habits. Somebody said, I'm playing too much video games. We said, oh, okay, so we're going to track how much hours of video gaming you do per month. And then we'll tell you, oh, you're above your norm. You have a goal. You wanted to have only like 1 hour a day, and you're like at 3 hours a day, and you want to change that. And as we in Germany, we call that Quengel app. It's a annoying app, an app that comes to you and tells you, hey, Joe, tell me how much hours did you play video games yesterday? And you say, oh, I don't want to tell you. But okay, so 7 hours or whatever, or 7 cups of coffee or 7 cigarettes. And then a couple of ideas, like you could have a kind of a community with people who also want to stop smoking, and then you can have like, oh, okay, he smoked 2 more cigarettes, so I might also smoke 2 more, and or the other way around. So he is down to 10 already, and I'm still at 17. I still have to. So there's a lot of social things that we could imagine on that. Basically, what we would like to do is to leverage the statistical power of 20Feet with an easy and comfortable manual tracking, and make sure that people, in my opinion, whatever they do, they should be able to do some ego tracking about that. And that's one of the next steps we're planning. I don't know when this is going to come, and I can promise that it's just an idea at the moment. And if you find anybody who has done that already, I'll be happy to just connect to his application and get out the data and analyze that for the service. But yeah, that's the idea, and that's how it came up. It was just like a brainstorming session.
Yeah, there is some apps that track some general activities related to movies watched and things like that, and I see the updates on Facebook. I never really looked into them too much because it's really something I'm not I'm not an exhibitionist about my movies or my programs or whatever. There's other things I'd rather have a conversation about, but that's an interesting idea, just sort of plugging into other things like that. So I'm sure you've gotten some interesting suggestions along those lines. There's those workout programs and things too that track your workouts,
Yeah,
your runs, and
definitely.
things like that. That would be really cool. You know, how many miles did I do, and how many minutes, and that would actually be really cool, because I think those runner apps and bike rider apps, the ones they actually track the distance and the time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
So you could see your performance.
yeah, we were already talking about having some interfaces to such. It's already automated. Yeah, though you have like a belt and a watch, and then you can upload it to the web, and then maybe there is an API that we could use also on the roadmap, but even further down the road. So, okay, yeah, that's pretty much. I can't show anything about that. It's just an idea. So. Thanks for joining the club, giving some feedback. I hope that's helpful for other possible future 20Feet user or even existing ones. Thanks for taking the time, and we'll stay in contact.
Sounds good, Martin. And the only thing I would say is, everybody's going to get something different out of the app, and just check it out. Check out the analytics. Some people may be just looking for a low-cost way to consolidate their analytics and really get a look at that. And I think that's a solid use of the system. It's probably something I would be doing if I was measuring that, but right now I'm not. So I'm just really not focused on that at this time. But I would be more prone to use that if I was more and things like that. But yeah, it was good chatting with you as always.
Thanks. Bye.
Take care.
So.